Hi my loves, thanks for returning. As you know by the thumbnail, this video is going to be on my top 5 bronzers plus a couple of tips and tricks regarding the application of a bronzer, and I'm also going to touch a little bit on contouring and what's the difference between a contour and a bronzer. So if you're interested in seeing my top 5 picks and hearing a couple of tips, then stay tuned. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a couple of tips and tricks, you know, rules of thumbs, things that will easily pop into your head when you're out there trying to find your bronzer, trying to find a contour, trying to find the best applicator, whether it be a fluffy brush or whether it be an angle brush, just all of that. So with bronzing, I think that bronzers really can be used by everybody, and bronzers are typically used to add a type of glow to your face. When you think bronzed, when you think of a bronzed face, you think of something that has a natural glow. Like if you've been out on the beach and you've been sitting out there and go back in and then you look at your face and you're just really toasted right up in here and along there, you just look beautiful. And I think that, like I said, everybody can bronze. So bronzers can be shimmery, they can have like a sort of sparkle, and an example of that would be this Milani Baked bronzer. If you look at it, and I'm sure everybody's familiar with it, I'm sure everybody has this bronzer, but it's got sparkles and it's got shimmers and it's got that really bronzy glow. Well, bronzers are typically like that. Also, bronzers are going to be more warmer as far as shade range is concerned. You're not going to see a bronzer that is cool tone or has a grayish type of tone. So when you're out there looking for your bronzer, it can either be shimmery and have sparkle like that Milani bronzer that I showed you, or it can be matte. Okay, so it's either or. Now when you switch over into contouring, contouring is always, at least I think that it's always going to be matte, and it's going to typically have a cool tone type of look, maybe even lean a little bit gray, but it's going to, and it needs to be that shade because it's got to have a shadow, and your contour is always going to be added under your cheekbone, and it's added there to chisel and sculpt, add some shadow, and you're always going to start at the hairline and you're going to come this way. Okay, some people like to contour their nose, which is right here, and that's if they want to slim their nose down. I typically don't do that. And you can also contour, you bring your brush down here, right along there, almost under your chin, and again what we're doing is trying to sculpt and just make it look like we are a little bit thinner than what we actually are. Okay, and then you're going to come up here and contour. Now it is in my opinion that if you have a smaller forehead, you really don't need to contour up there, but if you have like your forehead is the size of mine, then you could just kind of come up here and contour. All right, right along here. Now again, contouring is different from bronzing, and with bronzers we're just going to add a light sweep of our bronzer. Okay, because always remember, when you're bronzing, that is typically going to be just a little bit darker than your shade, whereas with contouring you really want those to be deep so they can show up on your skin to add the dimension. So I'm going to quickly go into the type of brushes that you would use. For bronzers, you really want to use a large fluffy brush like this. This is the Marc Jacobs bronzer brush. And when you add your contour, you just want to add a little. You don't want to really go in there like that. Just kind of tap it on each side, and you're going to make a light brush up here, and you're always going to hit the areas that the sun naturally hits. And you know, really, truth be told, when you're out there in the sun, your whole face is going to be hit, but it's typically the higher points of your cheekbone and your forehead and the bridge of your nose. Those are the points that are going to take the hit the most. So that's where you want to contour, and you want to lightly do a brush of your contour there. You want to lightly come in just a little bit and do a light sweep, just a light sweep. And you don't want to come in, you see my fingers, they're right here you don't want to come in closer than the length of your 2 fingers. So you want to come in right there and do a light sweep, and then there. And that's just a rule of thumb. You don't have to hold your hand when you're actually applying your bronzer. I just did that so you would know the appropriate distance. And you do your light sweep, and then you can come in like this and bronze, and then you can come down your neck, and you can do a little on your nose. So if you have another brush that I love to use for bronzer is this brush. This is It Cosmetic brush. Another brush that I love to use because it has a lot of give, and it really allows for a really nice light sweep of color. I also like to use this for bronzer. Same idea, you know, just a little light sweep. And always remember, when you're applying your bronzer, you always want to hold your hand at the end of the brush as opposed to close to the bristles, because the closer that you hold your brush to the bristles, the heavier the application, whereas the furthest is going to be the lightest application. So always hold it back further so you can have the lightest amount of application. And you may have heard where people say, oh, just add a 3 and then you can contour. Well, yes, that's true, but that 3 can be really tricky, because when you're adding a 3, like for bronzer, you're going to come in right here, okay, lightly, very lightly, and then you'll come around and do a light sweep under your chin. However, when you're doing your bronzer, you're going to come in, let me get the brush. You're going to come in as well, and then you're going to do down here. Okay, that is where you're going to add your dimension and shadow, and then you can come in and then sculpt right here. As far as the brushes that I like to use for doing my contour, you know, the classic angle brushes are great. These are all angle brushes, and they would be great. Another thing that you can use is little brushes like this, because they fit very well right under the cheekbone. So you can use brushes like this as well to just go right under the cheekbone. It would be really nice to do it like that. So that is pretty much how you distinguish the difference between bronzers and contour powders. You know, you really do want to use, in my opinion, you want to use those different techniques, because again, bronzers, you want to add a soft, natural glow within, and you want something that's going to pull light to your face. As far as contouring, with contouring, you want to add that dimension, and you want to sculpt your face. Also remember, with bronzers, they're typically going to be warm shades, warm colors, and contours will typically be cooler or even gray, and you would never ever use a contour to bronze. Also, don't forget that bronzers can be matte, or they can have that little shimmery sparkle. So I think that those are pretty much easy tips to apply. Just remember, bronzers are applied on top of the cheekbone, okay, and stop it to about right there, and contouring is applied up under the cheekbone, okay? And you always want to do a light wash of it. You never want it to be darker than maybe a shade to your own skin tone. So let me go ahead and get into my top 5. I guess my favorite one out of the top 5 is this Bobbi Brown bronzer, and this is in the color number 1. It's really my favorite because it is neutral, because I find that a lot of bronzers sometimes can lean into red. If you are my skin tone and you don't like a lot of those bronzers that pull red, and you want something that's neutral, that's not going to show red, this one would be an excellent one. So I love this, and when you apply it, it's not going to give you that, as soon as you apply it, it's not going to give you that smash of pigmentation. You're going to be able to lightly build it up into a really good color. And this can go really dark. It probably doesn't seem like it because it looks like it could be my skin tone, but this can get really dark. So This is an excellent one. So the next one that I really like is this BECCA. This is the Ipanema Sun, and this is their, this is their Sunlit bronzer. And this is beautiful as well. Now this is one of those bronzers, if you don't like to be red, and when I say red, I'm not talking about too red, but if you don't like that really warm, toasty, red type of look, let me stop saying red. It's not neutral. I'll just say that. This is a really beautiful bronzer, and it has like to me, it has like a few little sparkles. No, maybe not. But it does have a little bit of sheen, just a little, but this one is very, very beautiful. This one is excellent in giving that really sun-kissed glow, like that natural one, like you've been out in the sun. This is really gonna do it, so I like that one. Another one that I like is this Bronze Goddess by Estee Lauder. This is in number 4, and it's the color Deep. Here it is right here, and it also comes with a little brush right here. Now, some people may think, well, what am I going to do with this brush? But let me tell you, you're going to take it like this. You're going to get a little bit on your brush, and then you're going to apply it, a light sweep of it like this. Okay, just a light sweep right there and right there, and just a little on your nose if you choose to, and then down here and down your neck. Okay, so actually this is like the perfect brush. Okay, it's not for doing this. Now, if you want to contour with it, and remember, if your bronzer is matte, then yeah, you could. But if it's got a couple of sparkles in it, like when I look at this, I see just a few faint sparkles, and just a little bit of hint of sheen, and this is just going to, now you're not going to start from this point on your nose. You're going to start from about right there. I guess you could say right in the middle of your eyeball. Okay, which would be about 2 fingers length, and you're going to do a light sweep like that, very light. Okay, so anyway, with that being said, I like this bronzer. This is another one of my favorites, and this one is not neutral. It's going to lean towards a more warmer type of shade, but very, very beautiful. Another one that I like, and I really do think this is a favorite of a lot of people, this is by NARS. This is in Laguna, and I have it in a palette. And this is the color here. And you're probably looking at it thinking, girl, that's too light for you. However, it does add just a little bit of warmth. Okay, not that much, but just a little on me. Now, of course, if you're lighter than me, or if your skin tone is lighter than mine, you're going to have a little bit more warmth. But again, don't judge how deep a powder is going to be by how it looks in the pan. And remember, it's only supposed to give you a natural glow. It's not supposed to be a heavy type of powder that's going to add all of this deep, heavy pigmentation. And the last one that I have is this NYX matte bronzer. This one is beautiful. This one is dark. Okay, so if I really want to look like I've really been out in the sun and just really have a super toasted look, I would use this, especially with a lighter foundation. Typically with my foundations, I kind of try to get them a little bit darker than my skin tone, just a little bit, but a lot of that has to do with counteracting flash when I take pictures. But if I use like a lighter foundation and I really want a really toasted look, I go for this bronzer. And remember, like I said, see how dark it is in the pan? So that just lets me know that once I add it and start slowly building it up, I am going to get a really nice toasted warmth look. So this is my 5th favorite. So that is pretty much it as far as my top favorites. I hope some of those tips and tricks helped you. Just remember, you know, contouring, you want to shape and sculpt. Okay, and you're going to apply those contours up under your cheekbones. Bronzers, you want to add a natural glow, a light warmth, and you're going to add that on top of your cheekbone right here. Okay, and then remember, when you apply your powders, in order to get a light application, you're going to hold your brush further out for a lighter application. For a heavier application, you're going to hold it closer to the bristles. And that goes for bronzers, that goes for eyeshadow, you know, whatever powder you're using. That's just a good way to hold your brush. So that is pretty much it. Do you use any of these bronzers? Do you use other bronzers? Do you know of any that are more of a neutral tone? If so, please let me know down in the comments. And that is pretty much it. And until my next video, smooches.